Hey y'all, happy Happy Friday. Okay, so we back for another episode of Love After Lockup, season 5, episode 4, Dark Side of the Spoon. uh this shit just it's just a bunch of shit. Okay, so we just gonna start off with Melissa and Louis. So they sneak out, and Melissa was like, "Donna is treating us like high schoolers." Well, you know what high schoolers do? They sneak out. Now, me personally, the way I grew up, I was too scared to sneak out. But okay, so what? Well, the thing is, though, Melissa, also is that you're still stuck in high school, ma'am. And then you follow up with after 20 years, I finally get to screw the guy I've been waiting to screw. And I'm like, girl, bye. Like, I just have no sides in this, okay? So she's driving to the hotel in that damn cheerleading outfit that she done had on all day. And it would be hard for me, honestly, once they got to the hotel to screw a man with drawers that have lips on it. But that's just me, and I wouldn't have bought that shit for him. But anyway, then you keep asking him over and over again, do you think we need a condom? Do we need a condom? Girl, ma'am, you are grown. He just got out of jail. Has not been STD tested. I don't care. I don't care what he told you. I don't care what you think about him. I don't care how much you love him. Yes, okay? Condoms are very advanced. Okay? It has come a very long way. You don't it doesn't have to be raw for you to feel it. Okay? Or feel close to it. You be alright. Anyway, so we get Louis in. We get Louis the next morning, right? And he's working out because he said he can't sleep because it's actually weird sleeping in a soft bed. And I'm like, I thought mattresses typically improve your sleep. Like that's some shit right there. That you are so used to sleeping on a cot, a soft mattress becomes weird. This is a hotel mattress, so it's still like anyway. But I understand how your environment shapes your sleep patterns. That's why he can't sleep because there's always some noise or a fight or whatever. So Melissa was like, I felt like it was God, and I kept saying, what the hell is? I mean, look, what is she referring to? Why does she keep saying I feel like it was God? They had sex, so despite the fact that she started her period, they decided to still have sex. Gross, gross, and y'all nasty for doing that in the hotel, knowing somebody else got to clean it up. All right, I'm just being for real. Seriously, that's some bullshit, and y'all better tip that maid. Okay. Anyway, so she's saying I felt like it was God because I always went to lose my virginity to Louis, and basically by having a period, I got to start over. I said, say what now? Huh? That shit came out her mouth and she was dead ass. Anyway, so he has a bunch of missed calls, and we already know from whom. His mother. And she's claiming that there's an unmarked car in front of the house. And she says, what am I supposed to say when he comes to the door? And I'm just like, first of all, in my mind, I said, Donna is lying like a motherfucker. She just want him to hurry up and come back to that house. And he's just laughing at a lot of stuff coming out of her mouth. And Melissa tried to talk, and she goes, pipe down, sunshine. I don't know. I don't know why that cracked me up, but for some reason that shit was funny. And Louis starts laughing. Melissa did not think that was funny. Melissa is so visibly offended. Donna is rude and disrespectful as hell. Okay, don't get me wrong. But Melissa, you talking to Louis going, well, if my dad talked to you like that, Louis, what would you expect? He was like, I would just have to take it. Like, honestly, he's right. But he's only right because his mother has treated you so poorly. But honestly, Melissa, Louis got bigger fish to fry than to be worried about your feelings in that moment. Okay, it wasn't like Donna was in your face. So Melissa starts tripping about going back to Jersey, and she doesn't know. This is after when they're talking on their way to the probation office, and she doesn't know what he's gonna do. Is he gonna relapse? He's gonna be with other girls. That's really what she worried about. And Melissa, your insecurities are crazy. Did you have to start that conversation on the way to the probation office? Did you really? If that's what's been going on in your mind, girl, go back home. Okay. So she's outside that probation office waiting, calling her sister, just mind her business. The next thing we know, I thought Donna was smacking the car window, which would have been bad enough. No, this bitch got a wooden banging on her car window. I said in her house dress and starts banging on the window while Melissa is in the car talking to her sister. I said, baby, Donna is crazy. Donna can't have no friends. She can't. because she got too much time to be focused on Louis and Melissa, and she's also not nice. So she beating on this window with a wooden spoon. She's gonna fuck around and get locked up while her son's in the probation office. Melissa told her, she was like, look, you're making a scene. Just get in the car. I wouldn't have let her in the car. I would have rolled up that window and she could make all the scenes she wanted and waited for them police to come out there and get her because she crazy as hell. Then she still has a wooden spoon in her hand once Louis gets in the car and sees that his mother is in there. And I'm like, she gets out and starts asking him questions. How did it go? This and the other. And he was like, what are you doing? What are you wearing? And Melissa's just like, is this normal? It's not. He's like, does this look normal? This whole situation was crazy. So he just starts talking about, the restitution of his fines. We don't know if he's going to be able to move to Jersey until next week. If not, Melissa, cut it out. Move on, okay? What are you trying to prove? High school done came and left, girl. Bye. So, we get Anthony and Sheree. Okay, I don't understand why she keeps wearing these very revealing clothes everywhere. And certainly not for a hood, nappy bearded nerd looking something. I don't get it. I don't get it, Sheree. I don't get it. You doing too much and not enough at the same time. So then she goes to the car once he gets out the prison car or whatever that dropped him off in the middle of nowhere. She goes to the car to get the clothes she bought for him, and then she tries to give him the food that his mother sent him. His mother cooked. He was like, nah, I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that. And I was like, sir. Then he's going to proceed to say, I want to go out to eat. Bruh, you just got out of jail. You have no money. And then you proceed to reject food. It's giving Monique and Derek right now. It really is. Okay? So Derek is telling us, what's his name? Anthony is telling us that he feels like his sentence was excessive. And I honestly didn't want to hear that bullshit. I didn't want to hear about, and I typically wouldn't say that for people in the incarcerated population. But when he started going, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I lost my father when I was young. And let me tell you something. I feel for anybody who loses a parent. Everybody who's ever lost a parent talks about how painful that is. Okay? Regardless of your age, there's something missing in your life. Anthony, to me though, when the way you were saying it, the way you were reflecting on it, sounded like a bunch of bullshit. It sounded like you were making excuses for your bad decisions. And I'm just not here for it. I'm not here for it. And the way he kept calling Sheree sweetheart came off condescending as fuck. Okay, and I didn't like it. That shit's annoying. Stop doing it. So she gave him an itinerary for the day because he needs structure. I said, is he your boyfriend or your son? Is he your boyfriend or your student? Like, come on, cut it out. But you need structure, sure. But K. Michelle done already told y'all, you cannot raise a man. Okay? So stop trying. It ain't your job. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. And then she's still, planning this party. And she said, well, I haven't told him I haven't invited my ex. Why is that so important to you? You still in love with him? Because that's what it's given. Anyway, so apparently going out to eat for Anthony means Popeyes. Okay, I thought he was, so it really ain't giving Monique and Derek. At least Derek went somewhere and got top-notch food. I can't with this foolishness. I just can't do it. So then he starts complaining about the chicken sandwich has mayo. She's like, you should have told him it had mayo. I didn't know it had mayo and it's pickles, da da da. And I was like, bruh, what the hell? If there is anything that grinds my fucking gears, it is somebody who is hella ungrateful. Somebody who acts entitled to receive things from people. Because the bottom line is the world don't owe you a goddamn thing. Even when they do, you still may not get it. So every breath, every piece of food, you ought to be grateful for. I just can't take it. And she just seems to be playing the role of like a hired chauffeur or like a hired a different kind of like an upscale Uber driver, which I guess may be a Lyft. Anyway, so I'm just looking at him like he's so ugly and basic. Like I'm trying to understand. I really am. Okay, so she was like, so she asked him in the car, like, where do you see us in the next 2 to 3 years? So he's like, I'm going to go to school and just grind. Now, I wasn't actually expecting him to say that. I think that's a great idea. He wants to go to school, culinary school, and start a food truck. Okay. He was like, get on his own business. And that's something, honestly, you're going to have to do if you've been in prison because waiting for a regular job is very difficult. However, one thing I did notice was that she was not in the picture he described. She said, where do you see us? She ain't asked you, where do you see you? I'm just saying. Then they go to the barbershop. And I know a lot of y'all probably wouldn't be bothered by this, but I was bothered by this. The fact that he walked in that door before her and she walking in behind him. You don't know how to open the door for a woman? You don't know how to wait to let her go through? You wasn't raised right. Let me tell you something, Sheree. It's those little things that let you know what kind of man he is. He ain't shit. I'm going to tell you that right now. What kind of man don't make that the first order of his business? I know, a bitch one. Anyway, so she takes him to the barbershop and she waiting there like a mama or a chauffeur, whichever one you prefer. So she's sitting there in that skimpy outfit and then paperweight shoes, and I'm just like, girl, I know you can't be comfortable. I know you can't be in them paperweight stripper shoes. I know you can't. Why are you wearing those? It's a mess. Up. Anyway, so when the barber said, then they, they did interviews with different people, and they did an interview with the barber, and the barber was like, oh, I wasn't surprised at all that you went to jail. He was like, I mean, I didn't know exactly what was going on. I don't know why that shit was funny to me, but the way he said it, just so resolute, just cracked me up. He was just like, nah, I wasn't surprised at all. He said, I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I did know he had a lot of money and no job. I said, baby, hey. He said, so I knew he had to be doing something. And I'm like, yup. But I'm going to tell you why I was looking at Anthony sideways, in addition to all the other reasons I just laid out. I didn't appreciate him going to Popeyes and then saying, yo, this is the hood. I'm happy I don't live in the hood. You just got out of jail. You think people prefer to live in impoverished areas with a lack of food, decent housing, safety? You should know better than that. And typically people can say that or whatever, and you just let it ride. But I'm gonna tell you when it really started to get on my nerves, and it seemed to be like a dig and a condescending dig, and I don't think it's just funny. Then he started talking to the barber about how he didn't want to be in this, hood neighborhood except to get a haircut or whatever. That's the only reason why I would come over here. Even if that's what you think, how are you going to insult the person who owns the business, or at least has sovereignty over his chair, in the sense that this is where he does his business, in a neighborhood they're living in or they're working in? Now, granted, like a businessman, he was like, yeah, a lot of people do that. You just say whatever you have to say. But to me, that was rude. And you just got out of jail, and where you going to live, you don't even pay no bills. So what I'm going to need you to do is pipe down, sunshine, because you a little too up here for me. Mikey and Chelsea. This one was simple enough, okay? So they're driving. He's talking about how happy he is. And she said to him, look, if you get locked up again, I will never speak to you again. And he was like, I promise, or whatever. He's talking about getting a job, making money, and building a family. And I was like, finally, somebody making their first order of business to establish an income seriously. Say that, be clear about the order, and understand your role in this relationship, especially as a man to a woman. So Trevor calls her son, and he's basically like, hey, Trevor, he's trying to, be friendly with the kid or whatever. And he's telling him he likes his hair. He's just telling him, well, I hate haircuts. I'm going to let it grow out. So she was speaking to her son, and after she gets off, she goes, did you hear my voice? And he said, yeah. And she said, look, I know it sounds weird. And he just rubbed her back and said, I love your voice. And I understand she has insecurities. And the bottom line is people are just mean. And not just boyfriends, like kids growing up, all the things people do to make you feel insecure about you. But Chelsea, you do your thing, huh? But they both seem like good enough people so far. All right, so they go to the sister's house. He has two sisters. They have a little trio hug in the yard, and his other sister comes in. They all just start crying. I can only imagine how emotional it is to have a sibling go away and not have access to them. And then you see them, and it's almost like they've been away, they disappeared. And a part of you dies, and for a part of you to be able to come back to life because that person is still alive, I imagine it's very emotional, surreal. So he went to his mother's room to take a look at it, and they had the bed set up with the mom's stuff or whatever. Um, and he asked Chelsea, "Is she okay sleeping in the mom's bed?" And honestly, it seems like a small house. And I just don't think they may have had anywhere else for them other than the couch, and maybe that's not what they wanted to offer them. Donna, take notes. But I totally think I understand that it's weird, and I think um it's weird because she had died so recently, especially. And sometimes, honestly, I would find it disrespectful to do that. They don't, and that's what makes the kind of tug and push and pull right there. But anyway, when he saw that return mail with that birthday card to him from his mother, when I say I teared up, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I want to move on. So Chelsea says she loves him, but she doesn't want to sleep there. And she's not comfortable sleeping in other people's houses. And he says he feels bad leaving after his sisters, did all their work to clean the room and kind of reorganize it from him. He says, I know it's weird, but I don't mind. But I think it's different for him because he's the child. And so to sleep in that bed is almost like a reminder of your mother's, spirit and her feelings, that kind of thing. Um, I thought honestly Chelsea was trying to tip out because she was wanting to be by herself, and she was trying to avoid telling him she's not having sex. That's what I was honestly thinking. But anyway, he gets ready to leave. He goes with her. So there were a lot of emotions, and he's talking about, to the camera, being alone and finally being intimate with her. That's the first thing on his mind. And he doesn't know Chelsea is keeping this celibacy thing a secret. Chelsea, 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 Chelsea. You should have told that man. I mean, hell, the safest place to tell him was when he was behind bars. Girl, bye. So Mikey tells the camera crew, look, not to follow them. If y'all want to know something, we'll talk about it in the morning. This is where y'all stop. So anyway, they're interviewing Chelsea, and Chelsea, she's scared and has high anxiety about telling him this. And I was like, gosh, Chelsea has had a lot of trauma. And I think that's why she's so nervous in telling, a man something, particularly when it's been like an abusive situation. We'll see what happens next week. You know what? I'm going to save it till the end. Let me go ahead and address Joy Nomi and Red. Okay, so Red is about to get out in a couple of days. We don't care, but whatever. So Joy Nomi is really excited, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And if not, I will fix it and try to figure it out. Next week because I'm not doing that on purpose. She's excited. She's so excited that she's spending time with the lawyer. I said, baby, like for somebody who's talking about they ain't got money, we know lawyers are not cheap, even consultations. But okay, so she goes to ask this lawyer. So I'm thinking she's gonna ask him about, is this man allowed to stay with me out of state? I have a kid. No. She is asking this lawyer about adopting her son. Red is just getting out of prison, adopting son, and the man. She's asking about this about a man she has never met, seen, smelled, or felt. And now she's trying to make him this boy's daddy. It is not essential. Okay? First of all, they're not even married. They didn't even go and get married in prison like other people. So he was like, yeah, adoption is an option. He was like, but the court is really going to want to see y'all married for a year or two. And they're going to really evaluate how strong they think the bond is with your son and the adopted father to prove that there's a good relationship between him to approve that kind of thing. I don't think that's unreasonable. Joy Nomi, this is not going to happen overnight. Like, girl, this is some shit you could have looked up. So he says, well, what about the biological father? because he's a lawyer, so he has to consider, who else might come into play. And this is where, oh God, she was like, honestly, I don't know. It could be one of three people. I said, I'd be damned. First of all, it can't be that many black people in New Mexico. Because whoever these three people were, they had to be black. Because that little boy is black. Okay? Now, then the sister was like, well, before this, you've always just said it was one person. I've never heard about these three. I said, oh, shit. And that lawyer was just sitting there. I guess in his mind, he was just counting his coins because people dumb enough to do that in front of him. So she basically said, started getting upset, saying she's embarrassed. And I understand that. And I understand that men do not have to wear the evidence of their sexual escapades the way women do. But what I don't understand is going on TV and telling this. Going on TV with your sister who is trying to support you, even though she doesn't like what you're doing, and embarrassing her by finally telling her this. Like, what the hell? Like, then she's asking about the adoption. We don't even have a wedding plan. We don't have a wedding date. If so, we don't know about it. And she said, well, so her sister gets out of the lawyer's office. She was like, did you tell Red about these three guys? She was like, yeah, he did. And I was just, yeah, I did. He understands. He knows. He don't have no whole lot of choices, baby. Girl, you are somebody's mother. Okay? And why are you on TV telling people this? Because, and so since you're the only parent involved, because you're not sure who the baby daddy is, first of all, why would you wait till you got on TV to admit that? Like, I'm not sitting up here, I'm not into just shaming women for having sex or anything like that. However, Joy Nomi, you still told us last week that most of your relationships have been like one-offs, one night stands or whatever, but you don't seem to lack for partners. And I'm just trying to figure out what's wrong with you. Because you keep, every time we see you, you're crying. And it's not like a small kind of cry or like just somebody who's a crier, right? Like, you know how you have people who cry like at fireworks, people who cry at graduations, people who cry at weddings, people who cry at funerals, people who cry when a child takes the first step, people who cry when their niece takes the first step, like that kind of shit, like a crier. But she seems like she's having like these sad, like sobs. Like, I don't think you should be on TV, hon. And honestly, this ain't what we want to see on a Friday night. I don't need you making me feel sad, okay? Okay. And you up here telling the whole world your business that you didn't even tell your sister. You telling people like me, I don't know you from Adam. And I'm all up in your business talking about it on YouTube. Anyway, so she is packing her clothes, the clothes for her son, for her, whatever, whatever, whatever. All right? To take to his grandparents' house while she goes to pick up bread from prison. You notice we didn't see the grandparents on camera even though they were home? Yes, that's by design. Next. So, as she's going to prepare for this trip, she's saying that she's nervous and she's sad because she hasn't left her son before, like this. I mean, I'm sure he's going to his grandparents' house while she's at work, but like, leave him. And of course, her son is in good hands. He's with her parents, his grandparents. You do realize, Joy Nomi, that all that crying you were doing and the nervousness about meeting Red is actually something you don't have to experience. For a motherfucker you've never seen him at. Now, then she's getting on a plane and she's taking Southwest. And I just feel like she's using, and that's not deep. People fly how they want to fly. I have flown Southwest before and everything else. But what I'm saying is when you fly Southwest, it's usually for the sake of affordability. And I feel like she's using a lot of money and overextending herself, selling family heirlooms for cheap, okay? Sending part of your tax refund. I haven't gotten a tax refund in years, okay? I pay my taxes. The best I might get is like $30 from the state, okay? And that's some bullshit. I'll take it, don't get me wrong, but like, what the fuck? So I feel like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you overextending yourself economically, emotionally? Clearly, you don't lack for sex and nothing like that. So, girl, get it together. Like, get it together. Speaking of getting it to fucking together, I'm about to address Andy and Brittany. and I'm even more pissed off this week than I was last week, and then I was the week before that, and the week before that. Okay, this bitch, I don't like her. So Andy comes to the hotel room to bring her coffee. This bitch act like she don't want to open the door for the man, one who paid for this fucking room. I said, bitch, what? So he asked her, well, do you want some coffee? And she goes, no. He was like, okay. So then he jumps in to say, I apologize for not having my key. Fuck her. That bitch, that fucking motel, bitch, you can walk that 2 feet over there. Don't play with me. Don't. Okay? Because I don't like this bitch. So then she goes on to say, well, he said, well, you seem like you're upset. She goes, well, her and Gracie had a fight, and that's why she's upset. So he said, look, I'm going to give you my opinion, even though you didn't ask for it. And I was like, here comes the bullshit. So he was like, look, I love Gracie. I love her to death. But this back and forth drama is not good for you. And I think you need to get away from it. Now, the reason why Andy is also saying this is because while she was in prison, she's telling him about all her triggers, which apparently she has also blamed on her daughter for the drama that she causes. Thus why he is drawing a correlation with it. And I'm not going to even waste my time going. And I'm not saying Andy's completely right. He don't have to be. You're still a bitch, Brittany. How about that? Okay? So he said, look, honestly, I'll be honest with you. I think we should have went home last night. He should think that, because he should be pissed about that money he wasted last night to stay in the hotel on his motherfucking dime. Okay? So he was like, look, we just need to go home. Then Brittany turns on him and says, well, what am I supposed to do? Just leave Gracie? Bitch, if you were a decent mother, I could believe it. Okay, you have left Gracie several times, okay? And for long periods of time. You have abandoned that girl, left her to raise your 3 other kids. Don't try to make this about you leaving your kids and how you're sticking beside them. You wasn't even with them last night. You went to a fucking hotel. Wasn't all your family at this kid's party? Get the fuck up out of here. So, and honestly, I feel like Andy couldn't come in. One, I don't think she respects him. She doesn't like him. But for all we know, the father who got custody of, a couple of those kids, if he says they can't be on camera, they can't fucking be on camera. Because you've been in jail. And he's the other parent. He can say no. But see, she ain't gonna say that. Because that kind of bitch ain't gonna be clear. All right? So if you didn't want to go with Andy, if you didn't want to be with him, bitch, don't. Okay? Don't, and you shouldn't have. Because it's looking like you didn't have the guy waiting on you outside the prison that you thought you had gooped in prison. So when you got mad at Andy trying to create that situation between him and his daughters like you gave a fuck, I feel like it's because whoever was fucking with you was like, I'm not fucking with you like that no more. And that's who you really wanted. Okay? Because if you wanted to be near your kids, why did you parole at Andy's house in the first place? Stay with your family members, the ones that's looking at you sideways and don't trust that you're going to stay sober. That's some bullshit. All right, so anyway, so Andy, for her to tell you, I'm not going to leave any decision to a man. Fine. You know what, bitch? You don't have to. I'm going to check out this hotel. Okay? Because it's not about leaving a decision to a man. All this stuff that she's trying to pull, which we could believe for another woman under different circumstances, not her. Not her. That is not what this is about. And you ain't fooling me, Britt. I see you. Okay? So let those people know that you are done. Okay? That's what you need to do. I'm talking to you, Andy, now. Go down to the hotel lobby, whatever the fuck it is, and you tell them I'm done, and there's somebody that won't vacate the premises, just so y'all know, and I'm not paying for it. So you can't charge me. This is done. Go get her. I'm finished. And I'm just like, at this point, count your blessings, cut your losses. Okay? Y'all talk to each other like people waiting in line to vote. You know how like sometimes you wait in line to vote and somebody might just kind of start like a conversation. They don't really ask you who you vote for, at least not in my experience. People just kind of have a little chat just because you're standing there. That's how they talk to each other. And then somewhere in that like small talk, you figure out that your kids go to the same school. You're like, what? Oh, okay, nice meeting you. You know, like what the fuck? And take your son home. Take your minor son home. She's putting her kids first. Boo, you do the same. Damn. She got you on here looking crazy. So Brittany said, look, I need to think about where you belong in my life. You need to think about me, your benefactor, the person who's giving you money, the person who paid for another night in this hotel, the person who went and picked you up from prison. You need to think about where I belong in your life. Bitch, please. Let me tell you something. Oh my gosh. Brittany, you're a bitch. You are a bitch, a soulless bitch, okay? So she doesn't like Andy. She doesn't care about him or his kids. And she definitely picked up on his low self-esteem having ass and feels like he won't go anywhere, so I can treat him any old kind of way and I'll just talk to him when I need him. It's what it's giving, that's what it is. Okay, so then this bitch says, well, I haven't been a good parent. And then proceeds in a confessional to say, but telling me to go to Rome was the most selfish, terrible shit I've seen. Bitch, you are literally the most selfish person I have probably seen on this show, period. And you are using your daughter to get rid of him. And hoping your family will take you in. I see you. I see what the bullshit you're trying to pull. So when he said, well, look, I'm not leaving. We'll figure it out. I'm not leaving. She started laughing. And I said, fuck this bitch and go home. And it wasn't like a or like a nervous laugh. It was a like, psh, you stupid for staying here because I'm about to bust a move. And she did. I don't want to see these motherfuckers after this episode. We don't need it. We don't need it. Just give us a blurb before the episode say they broke up and y'all were no longer filming them. We don't want to know because this is bullshit. The way this chick manages to make every single situation somebody else's fault and criticize everything everybody else does that somehow makes her the victim is amazing to me. Okay? She's a terrible mother, which I would not say about anybody unless they were just horrible. And she's horrible. And now all of a sudden she cares so much. She talks like a typical narcissist. She in there talking to the camera crew, talking to, she talks about the situation and tries to attempt to convince whoever is listening as to why she's doing the things she does and how somebody else was wrong and made her do this. Then she's even telling the camera crew that he obviously has a control problem. Why would a cop be on a website looking up caged ladies unless he has a control problem? Well, bitch, you didn't seem to care. You knew all this information before. No, Brittany, you ain't getting me with these sound bites, with these things that other women say who actually have something to bring to the table. I'm not doing it. Then she waits for Gracie. Gracie pulls up and takes her mom from the hotel. So she's already still using Andy and Gracie to get her where she needs to go, whatever she needs. Gracie, who's obviously upset. Gracie, who she told was following her around when all that girl wanted to do was be close to her mother at 18. She has a designated driver because this girl doesn't have a record. She's been raising your fucking kids. And now, once again, you're using her to get away from a bad situation after you've introduced her and had her around this man. Anything could have happened to her. Anything. But she wants your approval that bad. And I'm not critiquing Gracie because that's why wouldn't a child want their approval from their mother? But she feels like she has to earn your love, and you are setting that girl up to have a very, very, very bad relationship with men and with her love life, with whatever she likes girls she's going to end up with a bad person because you have taught her that you have to be loyal to people who aren't loyal to you and that you're not deserving of love despite how much you give it. And that's why I think this shit is pissing me off. All right? That was the plan all along. That's why she could laugh at that hotel. And I knew it was a bitchy laugh anyway. And because she knows she can depend on that daughter who is broken by her behavior and use her to do her bidding because she knows, like Andy, this girl wants to have her in her life. Brittany didn't say anything to him before he left. And his son is still in the other room. And then he goes in there and talks to his son Barry and says, so he goes, well, what are we going to do? And he was like, well, I don't really know. Andy, get your shit. When he said, well, I think I'm going to go to the other room and pack. Your shit hadn't been packed before? You should have been the first one out the door because you wanted to go home last night. Andy, get your shit, leave that dumb whore. You don't need to be in a relationship, neither does she, because you are clueless as fuck. Then Barry, as soon as his father walks, Barry FaceTimes his sister and tells her what happened. She was like, I knew it. I knew it. And you know what? We saw this coming, but I honestly didn't know Brittany was going to be this bad, and I'm not here for it. Now, that's all I got to say about this for now. I'll see y'all for Love and Marriage Huntsville. Yeah, y'all have a good night. Talk to y'all soon. Be sure to like and subscribe. All right. Bye bye.